What is going on, everyone? We are back once again on Wrestling Republic's Off the Air. We are immediately following NXT's Deadline up in Connecticut on the East Coast. We're going to break the entire show down for you. What a weekend it's been. The last premium live event on the entire WWE calendar year. The last premium live event or pay-per-view on the wrestling calendar year as far as major promotions are concerned. I'm excited to get into it. I've got the usual suspects with me. First, let's head out to Louisville, Kentucky. We got Dryzzy. How are you doing, my friend, on this Saturday evening?
Was good. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Deadline is in the books, and we had a ball, a blast. We gotta get into it. I plus we gotta talk. I'm a little heartbroken because my my heart didn't win. They cheated her.
They did.
How you gonna lock up in a box and then let the clock? Let me stop. Go ahead and go. Get off.
We're gonna break it down. Before we do, I gotta introduce my other co-host this evening because I got two co-hosts on this show, but this is a two-time co-host on the day. Out in the DMV. Shotty, how you doing, Shad?
Two-time. Can you dig it, sucker? Nah, I'm good, man. It's your boy, Shotty, Mick Shotty. Showtime Battle Arena. Who battles, who we battle. I gotta promote my stuff. I'm sorry, guys. Chapter leader of the Tiffany Stratton fan club.
Ooh.
They ain't win either.
Toodles.
What time?
Let's get into it, man. She lost too. I'm on the same heartbreak hotel as Dryzzy is, so it's unfortunate. But the person I did say who I thought was gonna actually won. So two for two on who I thought was gonna win. But hey, that's just a little flex, you know what I'm saying about it.
I'm not gonna lie, Shad. I almost actually misclicked the camera cut there because the body language is making me laugh so hard because you're in your bag, as the kids are saying, in that spot there.
I'm in my duffel right now, man.
And it's a duffel that'll never be unzipped. That's all I'm saying, right?
Go and get your money, little duffel bag boy.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Titty boy. I mean, I'm sorry, 2 Chainz.
2 Chainz.
Okay, we got monster shout-outs already early and often in the comments here. We got hello from Cool Gamer. Hello, Cool Gamer. What is going on? We got WWE 26 with dang, that was a very good show. Yes, sir, it was. And then our good friend Bobby Batito already.
Oh, Bobby! I know.
Big man.
I watched it last night. When I heard that they were wrestling,
Dolan last night on NXT Level Up. Talk to him, Shad.
I watched it last night. When I saw that was happening, we was blessed to be able to see that matchup. Salute to those two ladies, respectfully.
Big Match
Can't
Bob.
miss stuff. Go ahead, Dryzzy. Sorry.
That's my boy, Big Match Bob.
Big Match Bobby. NXT Deadline was great. Also from Bobby Petito. Could not agree more. Thank you again, as always, for tuning in. Bobby, you are the man. And we love you, man. But let's talk about let's get right into it. Let's do the dang thing or whatever, as they say. I mean, whatever. Let's do all the cliches and then let's talk about the show. We've got Axiom, the artist formerly known as A Kid, which, I mean,
he's a kid.
Realistically,
not any kid, but a
kid. I was thinking the kid would have been the move, but I mean, I don't know. That's neither.
Man, he is scholar.
He's Axiom now, and he's definitely good at math. Those are things we've learned.
His GPA is up there.
His GPA is high.
Get them A's.
The guy shows up to class, to say the least. And then we got Nathan Frazier, who I think is one of the most underrated talents on the NXT roster. I actually think both are. I think Axiom is too. I don't mind Axiom performing under a mask. I'm tired of the math thing. That doesn't. Let's knock it off, guys. Knock it off. On that one, I watched too many good matches where a kid stole the show under an even goofier name. Why did we have to just can we just give him a normal wrestling name?
I highly disagree, man, because when you're that much of a mathematician and geometry's that good and you know what angles to reach at one specific spots to get that W he got tonight, math came into place.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is that what that means?
I don't think it is.
I have no idea.
Hold on. Wait. So this dude's the math thing is because he flies.
See,
At
I
a-
look at
specific
Axiom and I
angle.
see a dude that's he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. His grappling acumen is off the charts. Yes, he's an unbelievable high flyer too, but to be pigeonholed into this spot, the guy has
Clark.
holds and locks and
You-
all kinds of tricks up his sleeves, and he displayed that as a kid, the goofiest name in wrestling.
You're
then
not
all of a
getting
sudden-
it, bro. You gotta understand it's a science to the math. He's lining his competition up like a protractor.
He's got yeah.
All right, that's
See,
my last joke. I'm sorry.
I feel like my problem is I feel like as far as social studies is concerned, that's where it's subjectively struggling. I'm sorry. Okay.
What are we doing? What are we?
Back to the regular scheduled broadcast, guys. I apologize.
Like, let me fix my GPS because I don't know how we got here.
Yeah. So we had Axiom
man.
versus Nathan Frazier. We're gonna break down that match. In fact, I'm gonna toss this one to you, Drizzy. Can you break down Axiom versus Nathan Frazier after our riff about his history?
This was supposed to be a warm-up match. It ended up being a sleeper of a match because Nathan Frazier and Axiom just have this chemistry that just hits on all cylinders. I absolutely enjoyed every little bit. The speed, the flying. Like I legit had no idea that it makes you feel like this match should have been for something. Like this needed some type of consequence. This needed to be like a number one contender for the Heritage Cup or North American title, something because it was really good and they really put it all out there at the beginning of the show. Like I don't see how you could put them on a opening show like this ever again after that. It just as a pre-show match because they went. They went. It was a good one though. It was a really good one. No complaints, no quarrels, other than it should have been on the main card. And we're still here with me.
So sorry, 100%. That is so my bad. I was literally taking a sip of of water there. That is totally on me on the camera cut.
Some good H2O.
But I'm with you. Yeah, good old agua.
Agua.
Either way, I am 100% with you. I mean, dude, Nathan Frazier, I think we all three agree is just an unbelievable talent, bell to bell. Like one of those dudes that like you just can't even quantify how good he is. Axiom though is as well. Like
Yes.
kind of like you mentioned, right? Like he's in that class. He's in that Dragonov class. He's in that even Tyler Bate I would throw in there of the NXT UK grads that are all about the same weight class. Moveset wise, they kind of fit each other stylistically
Mhm.
in a way. It's not spot fest, but it's also it's physical, it's stiff, it's grappling based, but there are top rope spots.
It's British strong style.
Very, very well said. I was waiting to get there. Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head with that one. It is interesting and makes me think of Pete Dunne, but That's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another time.
Butch. Oh, my bad.
Okay, let's talk about a different style of wrestling, though. Let's talk about a little lucha libre.
Lucha.
Hold on.
Lucha.
I had some
Oh
words
wait,
for that.
oh wait,
match.
you have some words? I apologize,
Yeah.
Shad. No, let's toss this to you, Shad.
Brother man, I feel
Break down Axiom Nathan Frazier for me, my friend.
No, I mean, I said it. I was live tweeting on my own Twitter account earlier about it, and I think these two guys are like the perfect competitors against each other. They've had numerous matches prior to it, and the chemistry between both of them flows like water at the end of the day. And Nathan Frazier, to me, man, this dude works at a pace so quicker and faster than a lot of guys. And I think he's doing such a good job being able to blend it in with different type of styles. And these guys just they work at a quick pace, but they also are able to like slow it down and do some other stuff within it. And they had that weird abrupt ending on Wednesday. I'm glad that they let them have an opportunity to wrestle in front of that big crowd tonight. And I want to see some, big things for both of these guys going into 2024. I think these are dudes who could potentially be on that NXT world title picture next year. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. I think both of them are phenomenal workers. I think they have great characters, and I think they have some special about them. I don't know if they're main roster ready just yet, but I think this year coming up in 2024 could be a pivotal year where we see both of them potentially transcend up there. Because let's not forget, Axiom did have, we about to get into the next guy we're going to talk about. Him and Dragon Lee had a banger of a match on SmackDown. And I think that he will have a easy time transitioning like Dragon Lee is. And I think Nathan Frazier is not going to have an issue as well. Just give him that time. But all in all, phenomenal matches.
I totally hear where you're coming from and agree with you on Axiom. I just feel like Axiom does deserve better in the same way that kind of Butch does, aka Pete Dunne, and all of that. That would be my only complaint.
I mean, he got the win tonight.
He got the win tonight, but is that enough? Did we have to do it to Nathan Frazier? I don't know.
I mean, they had a great match amongst each other. It's a match between two guys who have a sense of respect for each other, and Nathan Frazier's beat him prior to it, so Axiom got his opportunity to get the W today.
I can't lie to you, Shad. I think it's that I'm anti-math. It's that I never passed math. It's the math thing. It really comes down to math for me. And it took a lot of tutoring for me to pass math. Mostly cheated on all the tests. We're live. Never mind. I didn't. I passed them, I think. But either way, math-wise, I think that's my issue when it comes to that. But let's stylistically jump into. Can me and Dryzzy do the lucha thing that we were doing before? Now, lucha. Join a shot, lucha.
That's right.
We got Dominic Mysterio. We have a Mysterio, lucha legend in the ring. Well, familially concerned, familia-wise.
Hey, technically, Dom has been with WWE for a good 20 years.
He has, essentially. And fourth generation now, I guess.
Third.
What that mean?
Because Rey Mysterio,
I thought Ray
Junior's the second. So he's third.
I actually thought Ray was third generation, though.
Technically, Clark, what does that mean? Michael Jordan's kids ain't do nothing. They couldn't make it to the NBA. What that mean?
Yeah, but you can trace Michael Jordan's lineage directly back to James Naismith. Jordan was coached by Dean Smith, who played at the University of Kansas for Forrest Fogg Allen.
I apologize.
Who was coached by Dr. James Naismith, inventor of basketball. You trace it right back.
His little sons ain't get coached by them, but it's all good.
That's a good point. They weren't very.
You talk about Dom. Dom's not anything like a Marcus Jordan.
I mean, I would love to make fun of Marcus Jordan for the rest of the podcast, but that's not the point.
He's catching W's in other fields. But yeah, let's get into the topic.
Okay, let's actually talk about Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Actually, you know what? Let's dig into the comments here. We got some fun comments here. We've got Nathan Frazier is great. Has learned a lot from Seth Rollins, from Bobby Petito. That's a great call. Love you guys so
Yeah.
much from Bobby Petito. Love you too, Bobby. As always, you're the man. And then we've got from Coda the Kid,
It's
I
good,
believe.
boy.
What's up, y'all? Good to see you, Coda. Thank you so much. And then Bobby with Lucha. And then congratulations, Dragon Lee, on winning the NXT North American Championship. Could not
Yeah.
agree more. We're about to get into that match. And then Happy Dom lost his title from Coda the Kid. Couldn't agree more. And then from Bobby Petito, I'm interested to see if Dragon Lee defends the title on SmackDown and NXT. So with that, let's actually get into the topic. I'm going to toss it to Drizzy, you first, on this. When it comes to the win for Dragon Lee, where does he defend this title? Does this actually bring him back to the NXT roster full time? Or do you picture him walking around SmackDown carrying that belt?
I give it a month. He will hold the title on the main roster for a month, and then once they actually come up with a full plan on who the next challenger will be for the North American title, then it'll go back down to NXT. Because I believe that was always the whole story, is for the title to go back to NXT. But with the unfortunate timing of Wesley's injury, it just couldn't happen. So on an audible, bringing Dragon Lee in does make sense, as he was the last, I believe, the last challenger for the North American title. I may be wrong, I don't know, but it makes sense. I I don't think they're gonna turn him back down to the NXT roster. I wouldn't want to do it anyway, because they've already invested into him, into a storyline on the main roster. So there's no point in bringing him back down, trying to just stuff him into something just because of they need to get that belt on somebody. The most like Honestly, what I'd like for them to do is go ahead and have a tournament. Have two tournaments running simultaneously: the men's breakout tournament and a North American title tournament. This gives a chance for people like who we were just talking about, Nathan Frazier, Axiom, get into a tournament to crown a champion and give them something of consequence to do it, instead of wrestling on pre-show matches for nothing.
That idea I absolutely love. And the only thing that I would ask is, though, do you then think he mostly appears on SmackDown and not NXT so much as like the kind of tournament plays out?
Yeah, I do think he'll spend more time on SmackDown, because they've invested into him in this LWO Santos Escobar feud. So
Yes,
we wouldn't uproot him from a feud that he's already in to just make him do appearances in NXT, and he's not an appearance guy. He's one of those baby faces. He's ready to get in the ring. So I can't really see a reason for him to go and be down there just on any of volitions or anything. Honestly, he can just go ahead and relinquish the title, and there just be the tournament for it. It'll be vacant. Vacant will hold the title.
that wouldn't be a horrible idea. I totally get where you're coming from, Shad. What are your thoughts though on the situation with the North American title? I
So
really liked the match, but I mean, with what happened with Wes Lee, obviously, like Drizzy, you broke it down
yeah.
perfectly. But this is a funky situation here with Dragon Lee being a main roster wrestler. Where do you think we go here?
So I mean, obviously, it's an impromptu situation. We didn't foresee the unfortunate situation, and obviously, prayers and healthy recovery to Wesley in regards to him going through a surgery. But this happens in sports. It happens in pro wrestling. Someone gets hurt. You kind of gotta shuffle the cards, and I would assume that Wesley was gonna get the title off of Dom tonight, and he would have had a reign as North American champion, as the storyline was built to. I don't think it's a bad idea for Dragon Lee to be a floating champion, kind of like how Dominic Mysterio is. And I say that off of the fact that we are seeing Dragon Lee fresh and new into the main roster, and we're starting to see the fans kind of get behind him. And what is a better way to make you seem a little bit more of a star than having gold around your waist on SmackDown? I don't think there is an issue with him being on SmackDown and NXT at the same point, just like how Dominic was doing. I don't think he plays that pivotal of a part on SmackDown where he can't float the title on both places. And let's not forget, the North American title, he can defend it against SmackDown competitors as well. I mean, we've seen him wrestle against Cedric Alexander. Somebody in the comments says maybe him and Santos can have a match. I think you can make the best of the situation because it gives an additional boost to a young babyface that you're trying to push on the main roster. And I think it's kind of a happy accident, in the words of Bob Ross, in a way, where it can kind of create more merit to him. It adds more flair to him as being a champion. So I'm not mad at it.
I love what you said there too. And speaking of the comment that you brought up, that's from Coda the Kid, which is, are we going to see Santos challenge Dragon Lee for the North American title? I wouldn't mind that. And you know why? I kind of think there's a funny story to be told. Not funny, haha, but like funny, ironic story to be told about Santos trying to take that title and being like, this is just the cruiserweight belt, and like belittling it.
You could do that
In the way that he can lean into turning his back on the Lucha Libre background that he has.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that I think is something that could really be a story you could tell between the two rosters that I think would be able to explain some things as far as kind of Dragon Lee's shock winning the title, because I don't think a lot of us did see this coming. I think a lot of us did believe that Dom would continue to carry the belt.
I didn't.
And when I say a lot of us, I thought, at least in the short term after Wes Lee got injured, that it would be.
I saw Dragon Lee winning tonight.
I didn't see.
I know you. I know what you said, Shad.
So my issue is we're going from. Ultimately, the goal was to get it on somebody who's in NXT. We went for, but because of the injury, we ended up going from one main roster talent holding the belt to another main roster talent holding the belt. So it kind of defeats the purpose, but I understand why they had to do it. You needed somebody you could throw in there at a moment's notice, and that made sense. And Dragon Lee does make sense.
100%. And so this is a really interesting question here from our good friend Anthony Manzano, and he goes, question for you guys: do you think this may set up down the road a unification of the United States and North American titles, and the United States title can be defended on both NXT and, I would assume, the main roster? I believe is the second comment. Yes.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not at all. You need a mid card type of, and I say that very loosely because I think the North American title does have a lot of prestige to it on NXT just because there isn't as many titles to it, right? But I feel like the North American title is needed on NXT for the purpose of, you got a lot of guys in the fold that can benefit for having that title. I think consolidating titles, especially, plus the USA title is one of the most like prestige titles on the main roster as a mid-card title too.
Y'all trying to tell me y'all trying to have Logan Paul hold the NXT title and the US title?
See, I think so. I hear where you're both coming from on that. I do actually think that's the move.
No.
I don't think it's Logan Paul that does it, but here's why. Because the North American title is great, but like, you look at what Gunther has done with the Intercontinental title on the other brand, well, both brands, since he's held it, right? Mm-hmm. He's elevated that title in a way that is, I mean, I would not be offended by Gunther main eventing a PLE in a really good Intercontinental feud. I would not be offended. If I saw a PLE main evented with a US title match, I'd probably throw up in my mouth. because it's all Austin Theory and everybody, and then Logan Paul, and I mean, it's that title has been dragged through the mud.
Well, what is
So you,
consolidating it with the North American do to like make that better?
the North American title has been booked the way the United States title should have been booked for a long time now,
This
and
is Inception.
yes,
No, I
There
don't
isn't.
disagree with that, but it's an
and
NXT
so
title
that
though.
it adds prestige to whoever ends up winning it when it's consolidated. And not only that, I think this is the key: is it puts someone massively over once you consolidate it, and it leaves you the opportunity for something that NXT does great, which is a tournament to introduce a new mid card title, and you can call that one whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the North American title, but we'll get used to it really quickly.
But I wouldn't want to get
But this basically just
another one.
having the same type of title back on it just to consolidate the American to it. Like I don't.
I
I
I
rather
think
just. I think the North American title on NXT to what you just said, it would make me very very upset if they just took it away and put it on the American USA title. Because
but
dude,
they
we
could
got
sell new belts.
Gargano. Keith Lee, like there's so many guys who've had
Adam Cole,
Adam
Ricochet,
Cole, Ricochet, Swerve, like
Mello.
Carmelo Hayes, like there's so many, like oh
So
my goodness,
so
man,
then
that
think about they reworked the NXT version of the North American belt, right? You still sell the North
you're
American
just
belt.
giving it a new
And the
name though.
European title still sells to this day in the
And
WWE
at
shop.
that, and at that,
You have
aren't
a
we
new
supposed
belt to
the issue?
sell
And then we have another
from
issue with that.
NXT, and not only that, you have a new
Bronson Reed
redesigned
too.
US title to sell.
There's another issue with that though, because are we supposed to be doing that with the women's tag titles? When was the last time the women's tag titles actually made it down to NXT?
That is
Because
a
you're trying
great
to
point.
we're trying to spread it across these three brands, and there's
Plus,
a million wrestlers in between that.
plus the North American title took it consolidated with the cruiserweight title already, so we just. I feel like WWE is like, and I don't want to do the compare and contrast with AEW, but like they don't have that many titles at this point in time where they need to just consolidate. I think AEW NXT is its own weekly show with two titles or three titles with the women's title, the North American, and the NXT title is solid enough. Like I don't feel like you need to and like we were saying, I don't think Dragon Lee is gonna have some uber long title reign to what Drizzy's point is. It may be a month and a half. It's something that they had to get off the fly and they're just trying to use it as a boost for him. And because he was already in a storyline tied to Dominic Mysterio, like it's just kind of how the cards were dealt. They wanted to get the title off of Dom. That's all it was.
And we were at that point where it's time for it to come out. Dom. He's had it since the summer.
Yeah, he ain't doing nothing
Yeah,
with it
so
these
he's
last
had it
couple
for the
months.
summer. He and because he, I think we talked about it Wednesday with him being a part of Judgment Day and a part of that War Games match that last month. The title just kind of sat and collected dust.
Exactly, facts.
I love it. We got a comment here from Anthony Manzano. Actually, I have a good idea. They can introduce for NXT have a welterweight title like you see in boxing. Anthony Manzano, you're a good friend. I enjoy that you tune into the show, but I said this in February. Welterweight title. You changed the phrasing is the move. It is one of my greatest pitches. I've thought this was the play. The cruiserweights in boxing way more than any cruiserweight in professional wrestling. Because cruiserweights are basically light heavyweights. That's 205 pounds. It's it's a big dude. Welterweight makes a ton of sense. I love that comment here too. We got a bunch of other comments too as well. We've got a go to the kid with it makes sense for Dragon Lee Santos storyline soon. I do agree with that. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense as well. And then
They been
Bobby
pretty much
Petito added
done.
Bronson Reed as well. And then Bobby also added the WWE's women's tag team titles should be defended on NXT Halloween Havoc night 2?
They're supposed
Or
to
they
be.
were. I'm sorry.
They
They were
were.
supposed. Yes.
But
They
before
had a match. It was Chelsea and Piper versus shoot, man, JC Jane and Thea Hill, right?
probably
That's
That was
correct.
the last match it was, yeah.
that's the only tag team I can think of in NXT right now. But it's they've been saying that's supposed to happen for years, and it almost it's maybe happened 3 times in the last 5 years.
It should
Oh,
happen more
my bad,
often.
2 years. My bad.
Chelsea
It
Green
doesn't
is
happen like it should.
Chelsea Green's amazing.
And then we have
Chelsea Green.
we got one more comment from Anthony Manzano, which is with how they're building Josh Briggs. How about him defeating Dragon Lee? I wouldn't hate it. Briggs looks great in
I
the
would
ring.
love that. We'll talk about it in a
I would
little
be
bit.
all over that. Yeah, no, that actually wouldn't bug me in the least. Let's do. Is it time to talk about an Iron Survivor match? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
are
I'm
we
a
ready?
survivor.
Let's talk about the women's Iron Survivor match. Sean, I'm just gonna toss this straight to you. How good was this match? I mean, honestly, I thought this was the better of the two personally, but like,
This was the
how good
Modi,
was this
man.
match?
Modi. Last match of the year. Mo 10 match of the night. This was a very good match. I thought this was my favorite match of the entire night. And I love the pace that these women worked upon, man. Like, you got to see a little bit of everyone that what they can just participate and do in the ring. I thought Lash Legend coming off of what she did on Wednesday, and I know Drizzy gonna talk about it too, so I won't go too in depth. But she looked super strong tonight, and I thought that was phenomenal. I think Blair Davenport, who I truthfully thought was gonna win this match, did her thing. She looked super strong. Kalani Jordan, a stud. She's always doing phenomenal things on the top ropes and all that. And we got to talk about what really matters, man. Even though she ain't win, it's Tiffy time all the time, man. My girl Tiffany Stratton showing us why she is a premier talent on NXT, a premier talent on WWE. And she just did her thing tonight, man. Fallon Henley, like all these women did a great job. And this is very vindictive of what I think, man. Like this NXT women's division, super, super stacked. They got so many killers on this roster, man. And tonight, we got to see another killer come back. Cora Jade, we've missed you. She came back towards the end of it. Blair Davenport gets the win. Lyra Valkyrie comes out talking cash stuff, ready for this match that they're about to have. Cora Jade comes back, hits Miss Lyra in the back behind the head, knocks her down, and she wants that title too. This division got so many people on it, man. We saw Nikita return on Wednesday. Cora's back. They are cooking with hot grease right now, man. My man Shawn Michaels is doing a phenomenal job. I don't think that there is a women's division that seems way more important, that's way more in depth than NXT, and that is just phenomenal to even see because a lot of these women are brand spanking new to the profession. And just it shows you, man. I feel like I'm a broken record repeating it. You got to give them time. The more time you give them, you see what they can do. And they delivered once more, man. So kudos to them. I thought it was a great match. And salute to Blair Davenport. I think her and Lyra is going to be a good feud.
Absolutely. And the return of Cora Jade is so cool too, knowing her history with CM Punk and that being her hero. And
I was
CM
hoping
Punk
that he was going to
early in the
introduce
show.
her too.
It was so cool though to see, that was just a special moment in general. Drizzy, what was your thoughts on the women's Iron Survivor match?
First off, before I
know
talk
you
about
loved it.
this,
Lash out, Drizzy, lash out.
before we talk about this match, let's talk about the true star of this match. From the moment she entered, she was completely dominant. We're talking about the bougie bully herself, Lash Legend. Put the
Woo!
L's up her. She was handing L's out everywhere. How about this? I don't know if it happened last year, but it's the first time I've seen it. Came into the match instantly, pinned 2 people at once, and got 2 wins, led for majority of the match. The only reason she did not win this match is because she was cheated, attacked by 4 other women at one time, and was put in the penalty box with, I will say, with 2 minutes left on the clock. So by the time she got out, the match was pretty much over. There was maybe 10 seconds left, and I almost called her by her real name. Blair Davenport was running around the ring playing tag. Like,
I'll say it, be a Priestley. Kidding.
you have to enjoy the way this match was booked. You've seen the constant push and pull between Henley and Tiffany Stratton, a feud that should run next year. No belts needed for it. The story has been built, I want to say, since Halloween Havoc, and it has been a joy of a feud to have. The Fallon, an absolute amazing star in the match. The spot where she had double Kimuras by Blair Davenport and Tiffany Stratton at the same time. Oh, and it wasn't a small time. She was in it for a good minute, and it hurts. Like, oh my god! And she did not tap once. She took it on the chin and went with it. Kalani Jordan, high flyer of the match, took a lot of risks. Another thing that they did really good in this match, they used the experience factor. You have your people who have been doing this for a while, Blair Davenport, and the more it went, the more people showed up. You start seeing the people who have been successful, Fallon. You get Tiffany. You get people in Lash, and then you have your rookie. That's where Kalani came in at. And although she took a lot of spots that she probably didn't need to do, and she kind of was the I want to say the little sister of the match because she kept on getting picked on. She was the one who were getting pinned constantly because she took those chances. This isn't a match where you can take those chances and it's literally high risk, high reward. She took a risk and it almost never worked out until the end of the match. But I just love this. The story was amazing. We definitely have to get follow up more on the Fallon Henley Tiffany Stratton feud. We have to continue more with the build of Lash Legend because you can't tell me she's not going to be a number one contender for the title really soon. She's the only woman that had a true momentum going into the match, and she really did not lose the match. They made a joke about it, like her not winning. She didn't get pinned to lose the match, and it was just she ran out of time.
Yeah. Drizzy, you always get me on this. You brought up like 15 talking points that we could probably finish the show on. And we could either do that or go to the next topic, but like you brought up so many good points. Like we sit here and look at this match and Lash Legend talk about a breakout performance. I mean,
she's got the
standout.
juice. She's got the juice.
No
these last
doubt.
2.
Yes.
Like all these women made cases for why they should be the next 5 women to fight for the women's title.
I almost cursed. The juice is freaking loose.
Especially Tiffany
I almost
Stratton.
cursed.
She should take Roman's title. She should take Gunther's title. She should take the AEW title. She should take every title.
I don't think you guys have mentioned the most. The
center of the universe. Yeah, Tiffany Stratton. I know.
The most difficult cog to deal with. The face that runs the place. Nikita Lyons. I mean, at some point, she's going to be a factor in this division. We talk about it all the time when we break down NXT, though. This is the best women's division in pro wrestling, and there's no doubt about it. They proved it once again.
Drizzy finally agree with me, man. Let's go.
I said right now.
I didn't even need to take it to the table
right now because
all 3 of us agree on that.
I haven't had a chance to watch
He said Impact.
I haven't had a chance to watch Final Resolution tonight.
It's this one.
It very well could have went. It very well could have changed.
The Final
It's
Resolution
this one,
is
Drizzy.
NXT,
Just be a team player and say it's this one.
brother.
I'm kidding, Drizzy.
What I look like?
I'm kidding, Drizzy. I'm sorry. I had to. No, but okay. While we're up, let's talk about Lexus King. I can't even do it. Brian Pillman Jr., but it's Lexus King. We know it. But I mean, come on. Why'd they cut his hair more like Brian Pillman and then call him a different name? Freaks me out. Freaks me out every time.
He had like braids like tonight, right?
Yes. And then Carmelo Hayes.
I don't know who's doing her back there, but they're getting people together.
The barber's on fire. My man Braun Breaker's lineup was very sharp tonight.
So we've got Lexus King as Brian Pillman. Shad, I'm gonna toss this one to you.
We got Lexus King as Lexus King.
As Brian Pillman.
Oh man. I got you.
And so against Carmelo Hayes. I enjoyed the match, but I mean, I thought Melo was Himmy Neutron here. I thought he was him.
He is.
He still is him, but
he got the W. Nah. So here's my thing.
Talk to me about it.
So it's difficult for me because I feel like Lexus King couldn't have benefited by winning this match tonight. This was his first PLE match. He's relatively new, and Carmelo Hayes is deep into this storyline where you see who done what to Trick Williams. I feel like they could have played off of it where it could have got a heel victory for Lexus King. I do think Carmelo Hayes is a better talent than Lexus King. I think he's a better wrestler, a better character, all of that. But I feel like it could have been a good position for Lexus King to win. And I don't like saying that because I like Carmelo Hayes way more than him. So I'm happy that he won. But it was an okay match. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Overall, I mean, the in-ring work was pretty solid. I think Carmelo Hayes is phenomenal as an in-ring competitor. And I think he gave him a solid opening pay-per-view match. But, I mean, the key thing we are looking for is this whole storyline that we're seeing between who attacked Trick Williams. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's starting to get a little stretched out to a point where I'm going to need a little bit more clues to see who did it. And I need to see them kind of unravel a little bit better because I don't like Lexus King as the outlier that was just added to it just for storyline purposes. I don't think he was needed for it. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. I think it's very random. And I don't think he plays the acting part of it that well enough for me to be what I did say was one of the best storylines in pro wrestling to now going a lot more flat, adding Mr. Brian Pillman Jr. to it. And I'm a man of my word. I own up to it. I'm critical to what I say. You know, if I was wrong on something, I'll say I was wrong. But I think something that was a hot commodity in the storyline where we were playing off of the whole, Triple H and Shawn Michaels angle, adding Lexus King to it, I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I wasn't super moved by it because he said that I didn't do it. Now, who did it? Obviously, we think it's going to be Carmelo Hayes, but I don't know. I'm not too keen on it.
I respect that so much, and I couldn't agree more. And if I could sum it up myself, I'd say this. You wouldn't put a Lexus against a Mercedes-Benz.
And that's exactly what they did.
And that's exactly what they
did. It wasn't I don't think it was a good match to book for him for a PLE. Like, you got to let him win a PLE match if it's his first one, especially him being a brand new guy that you're positioned. Like, come on, man. He got a money entrance. A dude like that can't be losing off the bat.
The entrance is money, but I mean, I was glad they didn't do Melo dirty, to be honest. That tickled me.
Was better than him, without a doubt. But if I'm talking off of the context of, like, what is needed for a guy that you're trying to push, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I'm more upset that it was booked to that position more
I
than
hate to be
anything.
this guy, but I don't think he could hold Melo on the best day of his life.
He can't. Melo,
Melo
absolutely
is
not. Absolutely
so
not.
dang good at
look, man,
and
we
Melo
sports
made this
fans here,
match what
right?
it was in my eyes. Like it makes me sad in a way for Lexus King is my only gripe. And I know Drizzy, I was gonna toss this one to you, but we got the Iron Survivor. We got 3 matches left, and we are on a time crunch here. Let's talk men's Iron Survivor. Let's talk men's Iron Survivor now. Trick Williams, whoop that Trick. Woo! Let's go.
Trick Williams.
Finally.
Trick Williams was LeBron James in Cleveland in 2016. LeBron James was Tom Brady in the Super Bowl being down 328. My bad.
Keep going.
Trick Williams was Tracy McGrady versus the Spurs with
Yes,
33 seconds on the clock. That
13
man
points.
pulled off 4 pins in a matter of 30 seconds. My
Ooh.
man is out there pulling off the greatest comebacks of all time.
Whoa,
Now,
yeah, Trick.
that is the highlight of the match. Well, one of the highlights of the match. The other highlight is Braun Breaker getting 3 in about 40 seconds. Trick said, hold my drink. We doing it. I got this. Hold my cup. I got this." And did that. One of the greatest comebacks of all time. Now, I say all that because this match, it built 2 stars. It gave Trick a signature win, but more so, it built up Josh Briggs to look main event ready. If you questioned it, he definitely stopped all those questions. I'm looking forward to what they're going to do for him in that. The match itself, second best match of the night. I cannot put it over the women's match. The women's match hit a little bit more on all cylinders. This one, I felt like because we all knew Trick was winning. It's just a matter of how. And if you know how it's gonna happen, I mean, I know a lot of times it's about the journey on how you get there, but this match, you knew what was gonna happen. So a lot of the stuff that happened in the match was a surprise. Nothing really leapt out to sit there and be like, "Oh, that's amazing! Oh, that's amazing!" I mean, other than Josh Briggs and Dijax go around and Trick in his last minute heroics, the match was average. If we're gonna rank all those matches, all the Iron Survivor matches, this is number 4 definitely.
100%. I mean, honestly though, Trick, I mean, Bobby Petito, our good friend, with the yes, Trick Williams comment, I couldn't agree more. Yes, Trick Williams. Yes. The point you made about Josh Briggs, though, could not agree more on that. Like, I mean, dude, the guy, like, we've seen JBL in the past. Talk about a big dude that just slugs like Stan Hansen. This is old school wrestling type of stuff out of Josh Briggs. Just an absolute slugger
Mhm.
that can really, really tell a story in the ring. Because those don't necessarily always go hand in hand.
Especially for a big man like
There's
him.
a lot of people that can slug.
Double choke slam spot was sweet between him and Dijak. Yeah,
Yes.
he definitely came off as a good big man, and I'm definitely excited to see how they push him. And salute to Trick Williams, man. That ain't easy. That's definitely one of those iconic moments for him. And that was the highlight of the entire match. I agree with Drizzy said. Like it not a whole. If you lead into the match, a lot of it wasn't to be desired of as a Iron Survivor match, but to see the adversity, not having a pin and coming in the last few minutes and racking them up, is something that makes you want to root for him. And I think it's very telling to his character and his upbringing as a superstar on NXT, where he's been always had his back against the ropes, kind of being the underdog, being the second fiddle. He's triumphant. He comes up week by week by week, match by match, and makes his mark when it is meaningful. And I'm hoping that we get this opportunity to see him as NXT champ.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, Trick Williams has been one of the most impressive guys to me, and I think all three of us, since we even started this off the air like program, right? The three of us have praised Trick's work for so long. It's one of those things where like it's just awesome to see this. I think all of us complained about the way Trick was booked as far as the North American title reign is concerned.
Mm.
And that is one of those that, you know, nights like tonight, okay, uh, we're cool, right? Like, that's the way I felt about this one. Like, yes, Trick Williams has been on this for a long, long time, and he's getting better every single time he goes out there. And this match, in a way where it featured a ton of people, Trick was the superstar, and that to me is awesome to see, and it shows that Shawn Michaels gets it too, right?
Mhm.
Like, not that I had no faith in Shawn Michaels because he's my favorite wrestler of all time. That's not the point. Let's talk about though a different match right now. Let's talk about Roxanne Perez and Kiana James, because this is an interesting one. We got Roxanne Perez and Kiana James. These are two big names in the ring in NXT. I'm going to toss this directly to you, Drizzy. This match, women's division, are we talking title picture here? What do you feel like the fallout is coming out of this?
All right, so I'm not gonna lie. This was the low point of the night for me. I don't know what it is about cage matches, but they just kind of they drag for me. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a big. At one point in time, it was the big blow off part of a feud, and somewhere along the line, we've gotten pretty formulaic with them. There was nothing spectacularly out of the range for this match. Kiana and Roxanne can do way more not being confined into that cage. I would have rather them have like a false count anywhere match instead of this cage match, in which I do hope that they do because the spot they did Wednesday, absolutely amazing. This here, not so much. I do appreciate that they wanted to incorporate Izzy Dane into the match, with her coming out and costing Roxanne the match, but this just match just was not hitting for me on that level. It felt like it could have been a Wednesday match. Like it was a filler match. And I want more for these two women because their feud actually has been one of the better feuds in NXT in general.
I agree. And this was a tough one too, Sean. Like, what were your thoughts as well? Like, Izzy Dame's uh, ref or I'm sorry, involvement was awesome. And then you add in like they utilized the cage well, but at the same time, it did feel like an odd like I don't want to say telegraphed, but like you kind of knew there was going to be something up given the cage stipulation.
It didn't need to be a cage match. I don't think they did enough to satisfy the uh essence of what a cage match is. I thought it was a decent match. I think both women are phenomenal workers, but it wasn't set at a good time. You've gone through both Iron Survivor matches, which had a lot of high octane and energy to it, and you would hope that a cage match would add that specific level to it, but it just didn't deliver to that point. Cool to see Izzy Dane be incorporated, tied to what is with Kiana James, but I'm just ready to see Roxanne Perez do something else. Like maybe it's time for her to go to the main roster because she's kind of at a plateau level where she's feuding with people, and I did enjoy the build to this feud. And maybe it's just the fact that it wasn't a satisfying ending. Maybe we're going to continue it. I don't know, but I feel like she's super talented, and I feel like she has potential to do bigger and better things at this point, especially off of the fact that we've seen her on the main roster, incorporate with people on the main roster. Maybe it's time to just throw her in the main roster and let her blossom in that spectrum.
Absolutely. And let's though get into the main event of the evening. And I've been sitting here like I'm on a time crunch. We're just gonna go until the three of us are done talking about this one. Let's put it that way. So bonus time for those of you who've tuned in for this long. Thank you guys for tuning in. But let's talk about Ilya Dragunov and Baron Corbin. Look, Baron Corbin played for the Chiefs. I'm a Chiefs fan. So, I got a soft spot for Corbin. He does a great job of smoking meats on social media. I'm into hitting the smoker. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, we beat Mizzou today. It's not about that. We had Corbin and we had Dragunov. And Dragunov is, in my eyes, probably the best at selling in the business that's currently carrying a world title. So that's a small class, but it's a lot of popular people, right?
Well,
And that's the claim that I'll make. I believe that Dragunov is the best at selling in professional wrestling that is currently carrying a world title, man or woman, either or, doesn't matter. I think he's that good. This felt like a letdown. Dang it. And I really didn't want it to because the rest of the show felt so great. I really liked the rest of the show so much. Both Iron Survivor matches were money. A lot of returns. The Connecticut crowd was on fire. They get better pizza than I do. So I would expect that, but I'm just saying. Ugh. I thought this was Corbin's time to shine and didn't feel as shiny as I was hoping. It felt dull, comparatively speaking, to the rest of the show. And that was it was frustrating. It was frustrating considering the rest of the show was so good. And it's not that the match was bad. I'm not knocking either competitor. I was entertained by it. Just was frustrating. I don't know. Shad, I'm going to toss it to you first. What were your thoughts on the main event of the evening?
I thought it was a solid match. I thought it started off on a slow pace, but I thought it eventually built up momentum. And this is the issue with it. I feel like we didn't go into this feud with a lot of expectations that Corbin, even though he's succeeded and done more as a professional wrestler in WWE, but as a viable competitor to get the title off of Dragunov and within title matches, stuff like that. Obviously, we know wrestlers who are new into the title reign aren't gonna lose it, but it being that telegraph of us expecting and knowing Dragunov going into it, the pace that they worked with it being a lot slower, obviously. And I mean, I think Dragunov did his thing. I think he sold, to your point, very well for Corbin, but it just didn't have a lot of high octane, a lot of a lot more to desire within a title match compared to what we saw. And I think it is tied to the placement. I mean, when you have matches that have two gimmick matches that allocate a lot of time, allocate a lot of energy from the crowd, it's difficult for the main event to be the world title match and it not delivering to that level where the crowd is kind of just, they're running low on energy. It's almost 11 o'clock, and there's just not a whole lot to go on with. I feel like this is a match that could have been maybe earlier in the night. Maybe it could have been on a different card. Maybe you didn't need to have an NXT title match for that. Maybe it could have surfaced off of what you had overall prior to that. And I think that's kind of the difficult portion of it. I feel like they were kind of set up to fell in a way just off of that alone.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And also, welcome to overtime. I'm tossing this one to Drizzy
OT.
for his take on this main event match because it was one of those ones that felt like a card that was so delightful, top to bottom, and then we got to the main event and it felt like not the main event in my eyes. And that is really no knock on either performer because I'm such a huge fan of both. The match was fine for what it was, but it just did not feel like the main event of a show that had multiple matches that felt like they could have main evented this show. Drizzy, what were your thoughts?
So I said it Tuesday. This match did not feel like it needed to be on this card. And as the night went on and we got to the actual main event after seeing the two Iron Survivor matches, after seeing Dom and Dragon Lee, after just everything else that happened on this card, we're exhausted. We were exhausted. We watched Trick commit one of the greatest comebacks in history.
Yep.
Tiffany Stratton and Fallon Henry jumping off penalty boxes. Like all these things overshadowed what I do believe was a good match. Baron Corbin and Ilya had a good match.
Yep.
I have no complaints about what they did in the match, but it gives you WrestleMania 18 vibes. Now I say that as yes, Triple H and Jericho was the main event, but
But
everybody was talking about Hogan Rock. Yes, Ilya and Corbin are the main event, but everybody's talking about Trick. Everybody's talking about Lash Legend. Everybody's talking about um Blair Davenport. Nobody's talking about the main event. This just a switching of the way the show went probably would solve this issue, or even just saving it for a specialty Wednesday NXT show. I don't keep on wanting to say Wednesday, Tuesday NXT show. But they had a great match. The story told in it was good. It was very on brand. They did everything. He even Ilya even gave Corbin the hug of death, is what I like to call it. He said I was gonna kill you. He hugged him and whispered in his ears and caressed his head and said, I am going to murder you. And then in the match, the way it ended, he dropped Corbin on his head so many times I lost count. He then hugged Corbin and said, I told you I was gonna murder you, and
Yep.
now I'm going to finish you. And that is exactly what he did. That aspect of the story, great. But we're just so exhausted from all the other things that happened in the night, and those things are still so fresh in our head that we missed that whole aspect of it. So this is where pacing of a show comes and bites you in the butt.
Yep.
So NXT, they don't have bad shows. And in fact, for so long, even back in the NXT takeover days, all the shows are always so good. They're always banger after banger after banger.
Banger after
We're
banger.
getting to a point now where you know you're getting a banger. It's just how good are the bangers gonna be now? And we've got like the weakest banger on here was the cage match, and that still was a solid match. So we probably need to fix the temperature in the room when we look at some of these matches.
Oh, I
We
agree with that 100%, Drizzy. And
we definitely could have did without probably the cage match and this Ilya Baron Corbin match. Maybe on New Year's Eve that would have been the main event. Who knows? But they're just I don't know. The pacing of the show did not work for me and how it went. I was still more concerned with the Iron Survivor matches than with Corbin and Ilya.
so I agree with so much of what you said, and I would even go a step further and go this route where I would say, honestly, like it was an outstanding show top to bottom. I think it was an order thing.
Yes,
I don't
absolutely.
think anything happened outside of just the
Yeah,
order in which it occurred.
I agree.
Because I still enjoyed the final match. It's just that I wasn't invested the way that I was previously. You know what I mean? Like that's the only little, if I had to pick at it. Either way, though, my friends, as always, Off the Air is a blast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This does bring us to the end of the show. Please, please, please join us tomorrow because we're going to break down Collision. We might talk a little bit more Deadline as well. And we'll talk about a bunch of different stuff as well on top of that. It's going to be awesome. Our good friend Bobby Petito with an awesome comment. You guys did an amazing job reviewing NXT Deadline tonight. Thank you, Bobby. You're the man. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Yeah, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, though, please do. That means the world to us. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. That is 8 in the UK. That is 9 a.m. Hawaiian. And we will see everybody soon. On behalf of Wrestling Off the Air, Dryzzy, Shad, Clark Taylor, thank you guys so much. We'll talk to everybody soon.